Well, hello, River Church. Pastor Mark with you. Thanks for joining me here on the Lenten Lunch. This is Good Friday, the Good Friday version of Lenten Lunch. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the last almost 40 days, or today is 40 days, of going through this season of Lent together here on these video devotionals. And let me say thank you, a huge thank you to I think over 37 people who volunteered and gave their time and recorded videos and made sure all of us got to enjoy those. I hope you have. I know I have immensely enjoyed watching people's perspectives and watching their stories, hearing their stories of how God has worked in their life. And so thank you to all those people. I just want to say I'm so grateful for your friendship, so grateful for the years we've got to spend together, and just that we got to work together or been friends, and well, you're all of you are friends, and I just want to thank you so much for participating in this Lenten lunch, and for all those of you who watched. And if you haven't, go back and watch them. They're on YouTube, Facebook. Go back and watch them and enjoy them. I think you'll be blessed by them. So here we go. We are in the book of Luke. This is Lenten Lunch in Luke, where we're looking through the Gospel of Luke. And so I have this Good Friday passage, and we are at the cross, and we are at the death of Jesus Christ. And so in Luke chapter 23, this is what Luke says about that. He says in verse 44, "It was now about the 6th hour, and darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour." So if you don't know this, Jesus was on the cross for about 6 hours. That's actually a very short time. There were many people who were crucified and would be on the cross for literally days. It was a long, drawn-out process for many people. But Jesus, who had been flogged, who had been nearly beaten to within an inch of his life, did not last very long on the cross. And so literally, like I said, people would last days because they would just put them up there. And it wasn't actually the crucifixion, the nails, that killed you. It was your inability to pull yourself up and to breathe so that you literally wouldn't suffocate in your own fluids of your lungs. It was excruciating. And so the scripture tells us it was about the 6th hour, and darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour, for the sun stopped shining. Now, we don't know exactly what that is. There's been speculation over that. If there was an eclipse, it would be an awfully long eclipse for 3 hours. But many people believe it was dark clouds that rolled in to that area and just sat there during this time, and it brought this gloom and this sense of dread over these events. We also know from another gospel there was an earthquake. And so that gloomy scene is what we have right here in Luke. And then it says, "And the curtain of the temple was torn in two." From the top, we know from another gospel, from the top to the bottom. Now, what is that? Well, in the temple, which was one of the ancient wonders of the world, I mean, this thing is massive. If you do some Google searches on the temple, it's actually one of the ancient wonders of the ancient world. The Romans destroyed it in 70 AD. There's nothing, absolutely nothing left of it. They left not one stone on top of another because they had were fed up with the Jews' rebellion in 70 AD. They destroyed it. But this temple curtain separated two areas to the Holy of Holies. They separated, and only one person could go into the Holy of Holies, and that was the priest. And they would literally put a bell on the priest so you could hear him walking around. They put a rope on his leg in case he died while he was in there, and they would pull him out. They literally pull him out of the Holy of Holies because nobody could go in there. I think that's where the phrase "pulling your leg" comes from. And so I'm going to have to look that up, but I think it is. And so this curtain was, I think, feet thick. This thing was massive and huge, high, and it rips from the top down. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, we have God sending a clear signal that there's all access to him, that there's no barriers. between you and God. You can go into the Holy of Holies. You have access through the blood of Christ, through the sacrifice of Christ. You and I. The scripture says in Hebrews, we can approach God with confidence that what we'll receive there is grace and mercy. Now we don't approach God with arrogance, or we don't approach God with flippancy, like, oh, he's like my buddy, like my bowling buddy or my hangout buddy. He is our friend, but he's holy. But we can approach him with confidence. The cat is running around here on the table. But we can approach him with confidence, because that temple, that barrier, has been ripped apart. It has been torn apart. And it says, the temple was torn in two. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And when he said this, he breathed his last. And so here's the cat. He's coming after me. And so Christ gives his spirit. He gives of his spirit. He gives up his spirit. Nobody takes it from him. He willingly lays it down and gives it for us. He dies for us. He hands himself over to death. The centurion, seeing what had happened, praised God and said, "Surely this was a righteous man." When all the people who had gathered to witness the sight saw what took place, they beat their breasts and went away. But all those who knew him, including the women who had followed him from Galilee, stood at a distance watching these things. I was fascinated when I read this. I'd forgotten about this part where it says all the people beat their breasts and went away. And I was like, what's going on there? Like, what is that? So I did some research into it. It's kind of a reaction to like severe like grief or fear or wondering if there's more judgment coming. There's like a impending doom that's coming, and so like beat their breasts, and it's a symbol, it's a sign of agony. And so Christ gives up his life, and their response is that, some of the people there, and I looked it up and actually came across this really neat thing in the Persic version of the scripture. It says, they went back and kneeled down and prostrated themselves to the ground, as being in the utmost astonishment, confusion, fear, and dread, and returned to the city and to their own houses, where they might more seriously and with a great composure of mind reflect on these things. I love that. With greater composure of mind, reflect on these things. That's been the goal of this Lenten lunch, is that you would be able to reflect on these things, that you would be able to reflect on the death of Christ, the journey to the cross, that you would reflect and realize how this affects your life and affects the lives of everyone you've ever met. The Son of God gave his life, or as Jesus said it, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many, to pay the price for you and for me. And so on this Good Friday, I hope you will go to your home, if you're not watching this in your home, or if you are, and reflect deeper on these things and what they mean for you and what they mean for me and what they mean for everyone. That's my prayer for you. I pray that you would find a place this Easter on Good Friday to attend a church service, or online attend a church service, and for Sunday to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, because the story isn't over. It's Friday, but Sunday is coming. God bless you all. Thanks for joining us for Lenten Lunch today on this Good Friday, 2021. Take care.